Hi. Now with the short pastry that we've just made, I've rested it for about half an hour or so. It doesn't matter if you leave it in longer in the fridge. Now, as I've said, this is a really short eating pastry, so the smaller amount that you use, the better your results will be, because if I try and roll out the whole lot, it's going to start getting very mucky. So what I do is just roll out half that pastry. Now first off, I've just got to soften it, just bring it all back together, because if I try and roll it right now, it'll just get all cracky and yuck. So don't use any flour at this point, just soften it on the bench. This is just so that there won't be any hard lumps. Now if you've left it in the fridge and it's 2 or 3 hours or even overnight, you might need just to gently soften it in the microwave so it will all come together. So just get that so it's like that. And I'm actually just going to make some little tart cases and some Christmas mince pies. So just a bit of flour underneath and flour on top. Now whenever you're rolling out sweet pastry, short pastry, any kind of pastry, you need enough flour to roll it out, but not so much that you're actually going to change the texture of your pastry, because the more flour you use, the tougher it's going to get. And the great thing about this recipe is I have used this and re-rolled it about 5 times, and it is still a great pastry. It does not get tough, and probably just because of the method used. So just a little bit of flour. Now what's going to happen is it's going to start sticking to the bench. I'm not going to worry about that too much, because I'm just going to use my palette knife, which is a step palette knife. So I'm just going to use one of these, and I'm just going to slide that in under it, and then that will enable me to just move it a bit. As it gets bigger in surface area and it gets thinner, I don't generally move it. I'll just roll it a bit on the bench, like so. And then I will get my palette knife and just slide it in underneath, like so. Just a little bit of flour, stop my rolling pin from sticking. And just be a bit gentle when you roll over it, because if it's in any way sticky and it gets caught on your rolling pin, before you know it, it's wrapped around your rolling pin and made a heck of a mess. So just like that. Now with pastry, especially short pastry, the thinner it is, the better it is in terms of tasting. So it means that you get just a small amount of pastry, and then that will hold whatever it is your filling may be, whether it be a custard filling or like a lemon curd or something like that. So don't have it too thick. Okay, so every time you roll it like this, it needs to be loosened up on the bench. Okay, now I've just got a couple of circular cutters, and I've got these, we call them mini muffin tins. I'm not sure in other parts of the world what they might be called, little tartlet tins. So I'm just going to use, I think this is about a 6 centimetre cutter. So I'm just going to cut out what I need, which is, let's say 12. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. And then just if you need to, if it doesn't pick up immediately, just pick it up with your palette knife. And then what I do is I just sort of gently put it like that, so when I push it into the tin, it gets right in the tin, because as I said, it's incredibly soft, this paste, and if I just try and push it in like that, it'll all break the edges. So just push it in like that. Now these are actually shorter than the tin, but that's fine, because I'm going to make these little Christmas mince pies, and it's much easier if they're not full height to the tin, because your pastry is just more likely to break and be harder to work with. So just pick those up, put them in like so. So you can do any size tartlet cases, But this is actually better if you work, you can see what bakers work early in the morning, and the reason a lot for that is because as the day gets hotter, it gets harder to work with these kind of pastries unless you've actually got air conditioning. So for those of us that don't have air conditioning, the earlier in the morning you can do this, the easier it will be for you. Okay, we've finished putting all the cases in the tin, and I have what's called a tartle. These are a magic piece of wood that's been turned so that you can just push them into the cases very gently and just cover them in a bit of flour so they don't stick, and that just gives me a really lovely finish to my cases, like so. So just make sure you do dip them in flour, otherwise it sticks and you end up having to redo it. I have a lovely gadget here, which is like an ice cream scoop, but it's only like a couple of teaspoons, and I can use this is for fruit mince pies, so you can just put your filling in without actually having to touch your filling, which is always a good thing because it gets quite sticky otherwise. So we just put those in like that. And then once you've got the filling in, you just cut out your tops. Like so, and again you're probably going to have to use your palette knife. So just lift that off, like so. And then once you've got those on there, just gently with this part of your hand, just push them flat, like so. They also look really cool if you have a little star cutter, you can do that. And then I just usually get a little knife and just touch the top like that. Okay. They go in the oven at 180 degrees Celsius, which is approximately 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and they're going to take anywhere between probably 10 or 15 minutes depending on your oven. So there's your finished tarts, and it takes no time at all, especially with a couple of little extra helpful tools. And then once I've finished with the pastry, then I'll just bring it all back together again and then just put that in the fridge. But it does re-roll really well, so you know, just give it a rest and then re-roll it. Okay, so these have probably been in the oven for about 12 or 13 minutes. And they're cooked. They just have a very light golden brown around here. Now there's not a lot of sugar in this recipe, so they're not going to go as brown as some sweet pastries. So there you go there. And if you just leave them in the tins till they're well settled, and then put a tray on top and reverse them, and then they should come out no problem.